Hello, welcome to Cat's Movie Corner. I'm Cat, joined by special guest EMR today.
Yep.
Yes, today is mostly just the two of us. I don't think Steve and Scott are coming. Uh, basically, I've seen 10 movies. I count them actually 11. I did see something else as well. So we're just gonna run through them real quick. I'm not sure how long the video is gonna be. We're gonna talk about it. Uh, and so we'll probably have a good time. Uh, oh, hello, Phantom Organist. Who put Cat in the corner? I don't know. Maybe
Usually I'm the lefty. I don't know why she's over there.
uh maybe because I was the first to jump in. I don't know.
Oh boy. Well,
uh,
if we're going to talk about how long we'll be here, I will be here for 90 minutes exactly
all right,
because I have a movie starting in 90 minutes. Half an hour from now, I'll be driving there, so you'll probably hear me in the background with a little bit of mild wind. So, before we jump into anything, may I take over for a few minutes?
of course.
So, you know how sometimes you always show off your purchases? I would like to show off some purchases
Go for it.
because I won't be able to do this while driving, otherwise, it'll be suicide, essentially.
Yeah.
S- So, I got some new Steelies and couple 4K and Blu-ray. I was supposed to get two more delivered today. I'm not sure if they're delayed or what, but um so let me open the camera here. Hello everybody. How are you lovely people? By the way, we are joined by special guest Bentley the cat giving himself a bath. Blue is in the other room. So just to start, I have a steel book of Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry.
Nice.
I got this from Walmart exclusive steelbook. I got the original Twister steelbook,
Yeah.
not the original steelbook for this movie, but probably the original anniversary steelbook that
Okay.
came out recently. Um, I got the 4K for James Cameron's Titanic, which is timely because his Avatar: Fire and Ash comes out in a couple of weeks.
Uh,
I got this Black Friday Thanksgiving purchase from Groove. I was supposed to get three of them, but I only got two. The third one, I don't know why they refunded. Maybe they ran out of stock at some point when they were packing it. It was supposed to be a steel book for Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. It was
hmm,
listed for 14.99, and then I got an email that they were going to refund it. So I'm not sure if it's because they ran out by the time I think that one, yeah.
yeah.
They either ran out or you know how it's happened before where it gets damaged in process and they just refund you automatically so they won't,
Oh,
waste your time. So
I haven't had that happen. They usually send them damaged, and I have to send them back and fight with them over it.
I used to have that happen with Zavi.
Oh,
Yeah. So I got a steel book of The Birds
nice.
from Alfred Hitchcock.
That's a good one. I got that one.
And with our dearly departed recently, Robert Redford in The Sting.
Yep, got that one too.
This one's in the pile because I've never seen The Sting. So at some point I'll get around to watching it.
Hmm.
I got the Blu-ray because it was cheaper than the 4K of The Farewell,
Okay.
which at some point we'll probably bring up a review that I mentioned at some point that reminds me of The Farewell. So
Hmm.
it'll be brought up. I got the Criterion of Pan's Labyrinth.
Nice. That's a nice one.
I only ever saw this movie once. Haven't seen it since. I saw it in its original run. That's around the time when most of us figured out who Guillermo del Toro was at the time. I got this Blu-ray for Kirk Douglas, Lust for Life.
Hmm.
Never seen it.
Oh,
It gets a documentary. No, not a documentary. It's an actual movie.
no.
Sorry.
Yeah, I saw a bit of that.
And I got the Walmart exclusive. I think they're exclusive Lord of the Rings trilogy. So here's the Fellowship with the
Mhm.
art of the Fellowship actually going on their merry way, and the magical ice infused entrance into the mines of Moria.
Yeah.
I have the two towers with the
Nice.
Ents going to war,
That's a good one.
and it has like the Rohan emblem in the back.
Yeah.
Which what does the first one have? Oh, it has like the the leaf.
Right.
And then finally, I haven't taken the plastic out because I picked it up last week. Uh, the Return of the King with
Yeah.
Gollum and the Ring message in the front, and I don't know what's in the back, but I do know there's something back there. So those are my physical media purchases. And Kat gave me a suggestion to make a letterbox list of all my physical media, so that way I can better track it. Because the two movies that I ordered that I haven't received yet are the steel books for Lethal Weapon and Full Metal Jacket. I, for whatever reason, thought that I already had Full Metal Jacket, but I do not. I think I was confusing it with the steel book that I have for Platoon.
Ah,
Yeah, so I started making the list. So far, I've reached 140 some movies that I have physical media, but I haven't gone through all of it. So it'll probably triple or quadruple by the time I'm done. So I'll probably report on that next time. Anywho, we have some reviews to get to.
I got some Steelies here too.
Oh, okay.
I got this my latest one just came in the mail the other day. The Long Walk.
Nice. Mark Hamill.
Yes, Mark Hamill, and the dog tags is just the bloody shoes on the disc, which I thought was really cool.
That's a nice touch.
That's a nice touch. Uh, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I was gonna hold out for a collector set, but then when Scott and I reviewed all these movies earlier this year, I realized that I didn't really care for the first three that much, and the fourth one a little less than I used to. So, and I already got Steelies for 5 through 7, so I just decided, I'm just gonna save money and just get the one for number 8. Get the key
You
on the
know what
back.
I like about that steelbook?
Hmm.
It reminds me of North by Northwest if you take out the submarine.
It does. It
Like
quite does.
I'll buy it just for that.
Another one here, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is also a brand new 4K release. I was holding out, hoping they'd put this out on 4K for the 50th anniversary this year, and they did.
Would you get it through Groove?
I believe so. Yes, Groove.
All right, I'll
I
make a
just
note of that. I think I own it, but just a regular Blu-ray. So
Yeah.
I'll probably see if I can hunt one down.
This is the first time I've owned this one on any format, so that was nice.
The first
Uh,
time I saw that movie was 2 years ago
mm,
because
and
they were making the Nurse Ratched series on Netflix. So I figured, well, if I'm gonna
Right.
watch this, I might as well watch the movie.
Yeah. Another one I got here from Hitchcock, To Catch a Thief. This
Nice.
one isn't one of his best reviewed ones, but I actually really dig this one. Set in the French Riviera.
Yeah,
Uh, it's a really I thought it was a really good movie.
yeah.
I picked that one up. I got to see that in the theater too, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
And then, in addition to the Dirty Harry one, which you got, they put two other Clint Eastwood films out. They got Pale Rider.
That one's on the Groove website. I'm waiting to see if they still have it by the time the next Black Friday deal comes out, and I'll probably purchase it because
Yeah.
they had it for 19.99,
Uh-huh.
but I was more focused on the 14.99 ones.
And then the Outlaw Josie Wales.
Ooh,
That's a great one they put out as well.
I'm gonna put an eye out on those two.
And these, I believe, I've seen them in advertised at multiple retailers, so they're not like super
Yeah.
limited. So you should be able to find them. Uh,
Okay.
and then I didn't pick it up in the mail today because I'm still dealing with a broken leg. Wasn't able to get over there, but I do know that my 4K steelbook of Black Christmas from 1974 has arrived and is
Ooh, the
currently
original.
yes, the original, and it is in the mailbox. Uh,
That
that is a
movie
movie
has
that
now had two remakes.
it has, and that is also a movie that I've had in the pile for quite a long time. So
That one is the original is in the pile for me. I only saw a few minutes of the first one. No, not the first one, the first remake, which was with what was the name of that actress that passed away this year?
I don't know what year are we talking for this remake. So I have an
Oh, the
idea.
first remake. I think it's like the 2000s.
I didn't know they did it. Oh, that's right.
Because at the
Yeah,
end
I
of the
have no
trailer
memory of
was
it.
"Merry Christmas, motherfucker." I remember that line in the trailer.
Yeah, I have no memory of that. I mean, I only now that you mentioned it from the 2000s, I vaguely remember that there was a version. I have no memory of it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you who's in it or anything.
Okay, yeah, but I know that the lead actress, she passed away recently due to cancer or something.
Uh,
She was also in the lead woman in Euro Trip as well, but I forget her name.
that one didn't help me either.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I've always grew up knowing her the way she looked. She always had a very unique beauty to her, so she was very recognizable. But by that way, I just for whatever reason, her name right now at this moment, I hate to say it's escaping me.
You can look it up if you want while I'm going through the comments here.
Well, I'm using my
Hey,
phone.
Herc.
I don't want to disrupt it.
Oh,
So yeah,
hey, Herc. Um,
her.
Outlaw Josie was classic. Yes, it is. So I'm gonna get to the movies, the ones I have the least to say about, just to knock them out real quick. Um,
Sure, I'll add some comments if I've seen them.
so I saw the new remake of The Toxic Avenger, which after 2 years finally got a release.
Oh
I
God,
did a digital rental, and I actually don't think they pushed it far enough. My expectations were higher. It's like, yeah, there were a couple really, the gore was there, and there were a couple gross out shots, but the way they were making it sound like, oh, this has to be a midnight movie. We can't give this a normal release. It's like, I think the more the reason you can't give it a normal release is because it's not a good movie, as opposed to it being too gory or gratuitous. I gave it
yeah.
3 out of 5. I mean, Kevin Bacon was funny as the villain, and Elijah Wood was the skulking henchman. But I wish they had done more with it. It wasn't that good.
Hard
Uh,
to believe this movie was in production hell, and at one point was supposed to star Schwarzenegger.
yeah, that's true.
Thank God he said no.
Yeah, and unlike a trauma movie where it's deliberately schlocky to have that kind of charm, this one isn't. They're trying to play it kind of. I mean, it's goofy and it's deliberately goofy, but it doesn't have that cheap production value to it that would add that charm. So it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
So there's that. Next, I saw Zootopia 2.
Okay.
Uh, I actually thought it was really accessible for those of you if you didn't see the first one, you wouldn't have a problem, like, getting into it or understanding it, except for the fact that for some no reason whatsoever, they replay the ending of the first movie in the first scene to spoil the ending of the solution to the first case. I'm like, "Why'd you do that?" You know? And the movie only picks up a week later, but the case is similar, identical themes to the first one, so it's but I still enjoyed it as much as the first, so it's like pick your poison, which one you prefer. A lot of
So
gag.
that's what I missed. Because
Yeah,
I got to the movie a couple minutes late. Because when I walked in, it was the title card. So I didn't know it was a week later until a scene or two later, which I'm like, that is now the second or third time a sequel to one of their popular movies only takes place in a very short amount of time. Because there used to be a moment where when they made sequels, they did them in real time.
mm,
Like years it would take for one sequel to come out would be the same amount of years in the narrative.
ah,
And
that's
I just
true.
kind of found it weird that if it's just a week, I'm like, okay, well, it's just a week. Give these guys some time to get used to each other. But because it made it sound like a lethal weapon situation where it's between the first one and the second movie and they're having some issues.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Fun pop culture references to other movies, Silence of the Lambs
I think
reference
they
was
were,
just given,
yeah,
The Shining,
yeah.
and stuff like that was
The
really
Shining
funny.
was the most blatant one. I mean, they even
Yeah,
redesigned the character to make him look like Jack Nicholson
it
in
it
that one scene. I'm like, good Lord, beat me over the head with it. Why don't you?
it was still I thought it was still really funny, so for that joke. But yeah, it was a fine movie. I don't think that I'm surprised that it made, like, it's at 642 million after worldwide after its first week in release, which
Yeah.
is crazy. But oh, Phantom Organist chimes in. He says, "I think the actress Ernesto was talking about was Michelle Trachtenberg."
Yeah, I think that's her.
Yeah, she did die earlier this year.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I prefer the first one better just because the first one was like a surprise. This
yeah,
one, I think I like the references, but I think it relied too much. I mean, it was like a circle jerk of all its property. They even had this one scene where a weasel, funny enough, a weasel is selling bootlegged
right.
movies of self-referential with one of their character actors, which I think that character, like uh Bradley Wilbert, what's his name? No,
I don't know.
Brad Will, the voice actor for the mayor,
Uh, Patrick Warburton.
Patrick. Thank you, Patrick Warburton. I thought they were making like a parody of Fabio, but he's voicing it, so that was my takeaway.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah. So it was fun. It was funny, but a movie that only exists.
little heavy on the displacement message, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I get it, but it's like, so that, yeah, it is what it is. Next one was Nuremberg.
Yeah,
Uh,
we both saw that one.
We both saw that one. I thought Rami Malek's character was a little cartoonish. It's like, oh, these guys are narcissists. But I'm gonna publish a book and make a lot of money. It's like, aren't you kind of being narcissistic now yourself? Uh, I actually was kind of engaged with it though the entire time. I didn't feel the runtime. I thought Russell Crowe was really good. And even though this is obviously a very watered down version of the Nuremberg trials, I still thought it was pretty engaging, good movie.
Yeah, I liked it, but my favorite parts were the parts that really you could have taken out and just made a whole movie of the trial itself, with Michael Shannon and
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe and the other guy, the Brit,
Oh, Richard E. Grant.
Richard E. Grant. I think with those three, you had a movie right there. Because when the trial started, that to me is when the movie woke up for me.
Okay, yeah, I gave it like a B. Uh,
No, it's serviceable. Don't get me wrong. I just think it would have been stronger if it was actually more of the crimes itself and not the psychology that they were trying to balance out.
right. Um, so yeah, so that was good. That didn't get much play in theaters in terms of much box office or much attention, but I thought
No,
it would have.
no,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. Next
A
is
great cast though. It's a very
it did
good cast. Don't get me wrong.
it was yes. Next is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
I
The
haven't seen it yet, but I did see I
yeah,
Frankenstein to get ready for it, so I'll probably watch it tomorrow.
the production value was great. Like you could see the $120 million on screen that it cost to make this movie. The costumes, the set design, the locations. Yeah, there was some obvious CG and green screen backgrounds. The opening sequence was fantastic. I'm like,
Okay,
oh
don't
god, the
spoil
whole movie is this opening
it.
scene. Like the whole movie is this opening scene. Bring it, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
gotcha.
but it was a bit slow because after the opening sequence, it's like we got to go through. Because if those who've read the novel know that it begins with Victor finding the Norwegian crew that's on their way to Antarctica, to the North Pole, and he's
Yeah.
telling them his life story, and that just goes on, and it's like nearly an hour and a half after the opening sequence that until we finally get to him creating the monster finally. Like we see the
Hmm.
lead up to it, of course, but it was a little slow in that regard. Jacob Elordi was fine as as the creature, and you could see that Del Toro's sympathy and empathy for those characters shines through because he's not portraying him as like a monster or anything like that.
Yeah,
But I
because
think
he's only a monster because he gets triggered. That's why.
yeah, and I think this adaptation actually does a much better job at showing just how cruel and crazy Victor Frankenstein really is. And Oscar Isaac does a good job at that. Like other ones, it's like, yeah, I mean the 1931's a classic version in 5 stars, yeah, and then I like the Kenneth Branagh version, but they almost try and make the Dr. Frankenstein seem somewhat sympathetic, and this movie doesn't. It's like you're just watching him, and he's like, "What the hell?" You're like, "What the hell are you doing?" The whole entire time, and you just
I
want to
think
just
the one
laugh.
that to me was the most sympathetic adaptation of it is the one with James McAvoy and Elijah Wood. I mean, not Elijah Wood.
Daniel
Um,
Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I didn't see that one,
You
but
didn't?
I didn't see it.
Oh, you should. It is an underrated gem. It holds up, and the creature design is lifted from the novel.
Yeah. Uh, Ballerinas of the Greatest says Frankenstein was a beautiful watch. So many shots, so many stunning shots. I couldn't believe my eyes. The mother's funeral scene was eye popping. Yeah, it's like the visuals are just gorgeous. Cinematography's great.
Oh, good
I
to
like
know.
Christoph. I like Christoph Waltz's character, and his little arc was kind of fun. So you could tell this is
Oh,
also Guillermo del
okay.
Toro just trying to get this movie like this. He's scratching that itch. It's like he's wanted to do this for so long, and now he's finally done it. And it's a
Well,
shame
he
that he
does
didn't.
have that. He does have that diary of his that he's always showing off with all the
Yeah,
sketches he does. So he's just going through his
yeah.
his library right now.
I do
But
think
I'm surprised it's I'm surprised because everybody's always giving him flack for having over bloated budgets and that's why he can't get any funding for certain movies. So I'm surprised it was just 120 million.
yeah, and I guess he went to Netflix for it because they were gonna give him that money.
Oh yeah.
Especially after I looked at the we'll get to it later. The Knives Out money situation is crazy.
Oh
Whenever, but
god.
we'll get to
I
that in a
haven't
bit.
seen that one yet, but I am gonna see it back to back with Frankenstein this weekend.
Well, I guess we'll just talk about it now because I brought it up. So
Yeah.
Netflix paid 469 million for the rights to do the two sequels.
Hmm.
Glass Onion was budgeted at 40 million, and for the longest time, it said that this new one, Wake Up Dead Man, was also budgeted at 40 million, but that was adjusted to 150 because apparently Daniel Craig got paid $50 million for each of the sequels, but it was one contract, so $100 million. And even then, with the $40 million for everything else and the rest of the cash, they probably forked over a lot more for cast now that this is like the third movie. So
Yeah.
they're in the 750 million range for the production budgets for these two movies, which is again
Jesus.
Netflix just throwing money away and burning it. And why the shareholders let them do that, I don't know. But here's the thing: Wake
Well,
Up
I
Dead Man.
mean, when you're the top dog in town,
So Wake Up Dead Man was better than Glass Onion. I didn't think it was as good as Knives Out. But other than Benoit Blanc's in the opening shot as he's reading this letter, but the letter, it's like the first 45 minutes is the author narrating the letter and all the events leading up to the murder. So Blanc doesn't show up for like 45 minutes into the movie, which it was still a really good 45 minutes, but I was still kind of like in a way kind of counting time because like, you come to a movie like this because you want to see that character. And then when he finally does show up, I think he's more of a background character in this one than in the other two. But I will applaud it that I think this had the best mystery. Like I really had to think hard to figure out, okay, what's this? Because it's not just a who done it; it's a how they do it and the things that happen later. It's like, what does this have to do? It's like what? And so I actually was thinking a lot more because with the first movie, I solved it in 45 minutes. It was too easy. The second movie, it's like they after 70 minutes they have a 38-minute flashback where it's like, haha, we've been lying to you by not showing you all this other shit, and I hate it when movies do that. But this one I thought was a better that way. I just wish Blanc was in more of it. But Josh O'Connor stole the show. He was really good, and I really liked his character's Father Judd Duplessis, who was he used to be a boxer, and because he punched this rude deacon as punishment, he's being sent to this other church where Josh Brolin is like this firebrand pastor preaching to his flock, and it's like
yeah.
really good. And yeah, it has the same politics and the same satire as the previous two movies. uh, but yeah, I thought it was good. It's a shame it's just going to be on Netflix and not get any home media release. But
Yeah,
I
because
liked it.
when they did that limited run for Glass Onion, it proved that the people that liked the first one and had interest in the second one, that movie would have made bank at the box office had it not been bought up by Netflix. I always felt that news when it came out that Netflix bought the rights was like a big slap in the face to that franchise.
It was, and I get it. It's like Netflix is dangling 450 million. You can't really blame them for taking the money, but at the
Oh
same
no,
time,
I don't blame them for taking the money. I just blame the fact that we missed out on an film.
right? And it's like Glass Onion only had a week-long release because that was the last year, 2022, when the Academy would have let you give those really cheapy releases to qualify for awards. And that at
Yeah,
the time was the longest theatrical release for a Netflix movie, only 1 week. But it made $15
yeah.
million. And it would have made more, but everybody knew it was dropping on Netflix on December 23rd. Whereas this movie, they released it November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. It's slated to drop on Netflix December 12th. It's only made $3 million. So, I mean, it's like they're killing. I mean, granted, it has competition with Wicked 2 and Zootopia.
Yeah,
Um,
but it has competition, but it would have been great counter programming
right.
if the sequel Glass Onion would have come out without being a streaming exclusive and had done good,
Yeah.
if not great, because it could have tripled what the first Knives Out did. This one would have had a better counter programming to an all animated movie and a theater adaptation.
Yeah. And I think it's, again, the lower box office is because most
Yeah.
people are like, oh, we're going to catch. And plus, there wasn't really much theatrical marketing for this movie. Because it's like, oh, we're just gonna dump it on Netflix, and we're only
Well,
putting it out for
that's always been a thing with Netflix, with the exception of their shows per se.
yeah,
Their movies really just show up out of nowhere.
yeah, and because this one has a longer theatrical release because for the new rules to qualify for awards, but they
Yeah,
didn't really market it at all. So how many people really knew it was coming out versus knowing this is gonna drop on Netflix? So I think that was part of it. But I still think it's a good movie, worth seeing. Check it out in the
yeah.
theater if you can. Uh, oh, we got some more chats coming in here. We have Hail, Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift.
That's
That's
a good
good.
one.
Lemon pie, hail, Ernesto and Cat.
I
Thank
think
you.
I think he needs to make a list of all those names he comes up with and write a novel
Yeah.
because those are wonderful. They get better with each one.
Ballerina the Greatest says, I prefer Glass Onion to Knives Out. Okay, cool. So I don't know many people who think that, so that's cool.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, and I think the reason why I think I would have liked Glass Onion better if it would have pulled back on some of the satire that they were carrying over, because I think for that one it was a little too heavy-handed, and none of the characters, with the exception of Blanc, were that likable. Like
Right.
even ones that were you were waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like, yeah, but I still don't fucking like you, like either of you. And then don't get me started on the third act with
Mhm.
what's her name, the black girl,
Helen, Janelle Monáe, Helen.
yeah, Janelle Monet. It was like, man, I'm supposed to be on your side, but you are doing everything to piss me off.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I guess spoilers for Glass Onion, but the guy gets away with it because there's no evidence, and
Uh huh.
if they tell the truth, it's like, well, by definition, they'd be admitting they committed perjury at the first trial, and the first trial will be directly relevant to the new one, which means their testimony would not even be permitted anyway. So there's no
Hmm.
witnesses, there's no, and even if the court of public opinion, it's like, well, the court of public opinion is going to blame her for blowing up the Mona Lisa, not him, and so
Yep.
she's the one who's going to get dragged through the mud. Yeah,
Yeah,
people
because
already
that
think
that
he's
action of hers was basically the filmmaker saying down with privilege and down with the patriarchy. That's all I took away from it.
Yeah, because that's basically what it is, and she
Exactly.
was upset. She was upset that he burned the last piece of evidence, so she figured, "I'll blow up your painting." And it's like, actually, that's going to fall back on you, honey. But I'm not sure if Ryan Johnson really was thinking of it that way, because it's like I think he thinks the bad guy would get, but no, he's going to walk, and she's going to get dragged through the mud. So it's like I didn't care for that, and I agree. Most of the characters in that film are really annoying because he's skewering celebrity culture as well, but that comes at the expense of having a bunch of unlikable people, and you're trying to distract him with these beautiful setting, and it's like it just wasn't working for me as much. Canadian Spider-Man, hail, Heather Cat. Said thank you. Thanks for dropping by. Uh, Ballerina follows up saying, "I think this third one is very promising." Oh, if you've not seen it yet, yeah, check it out. If you don't have Netflix, get to a theater and see it quick. Uh, oh yeah, hail! Everybody's saying hello to each other in the chat. Uh, all right, so the next movie. What else did I see? Oh, I also saw Eternity.
I
That
have
is.
not seen it. I was gonna see it last night, but
Mhm.
work got a little too hectic and I had to stay late, so I had to miss it. So I'll
Mhm.
probably watch it on Sunday or Saturday, depending on what happens.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot, Wake Up Dead Man, I would give 4 out of 5. But,
Gotcha.
Eternity, I didn't know it was an Apple movie, so it's not gonna get a home media release, it's gonna go to Apple. It sort of the premise is sort of like one of those "why didn't I think of that before" type ideas, where this lady was married to she married a soldier who was killed in the Korean War, she remarries, lives 60 years, they have kids and grandkids, he dies, and he wakes up in the way station where you have 1 week to decide where you're gonna spend eternity. If you don't wanna spend if you haven't decided at the end of that week, you have to get a job either as an afterlife coordinator or bartender or whatever. And so at the end of that week, by coincidence, because his wife already had cancer, she dies and shows up. But the and the husband thinks, oh, this is great. We're just gonna go off to our eternity and be fine. But then, surprise, surprise, her first husband has been a bartender at the way station for 67 years, waiting for her to show up. And now it's like a competition because they're not going to do the polygamy thing. And it's a fun rom com. Some of the logistics of the rules of the afterlife were a little iffy, but I actually really enjoyed it. It did have a few heartwarming moments and really sad moments, and I thought it was actually pretty good. They had Callum Turner, uh, uh, Elizabeth Olsen, and Miles Teller, and I thought all three of
Question.
them were pretty good. Hmm.
Question to the premise, because it may or may not be answered when I go see it. The fact that she comes across her first husband, is that something that the movie states that it's not the first time it's happened, or is the whole premise that this has never happened before?
They treat it like it's an extremely unique situation, almost like it's not happened before, which is weird because obviously tons of
Yeah,
people
because
have
people
been
have
married.
more than one marriage.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
I don't know why the movie's treating it that way, but I guess for the sake of the story, they thought it would be funner. And you have Divine Joy Randolph as their afterlife coordinator, and she's really good. But yeah, it's like they have to appeal to the guy upstairs, so to speak, to figure out how do we solve this situation. And they're like, "Oh, well, we'll let you sample a life a week with this guy, sample a week with that guy, make it whatever." But it's really funny. She's like, "It's not a competition." They're like, "Yes, it is." And so it was fun. It was funny. I give it like a solid B plus. I really I
Okay.
liked it. I thought it was fun
All right.
and
Good to
original. It's
know.
something to say for original
Yeah.
movies. Which
And it's A24, right?
no, it's Apple.
Oh, it's Apple. Sorry, I thought I forgot you mentioned it. My apologies. I thought it was A24 because it looks
No,
like something that because A24 is now branching into different genres.
double check. Maybe it is. Let me see. I don't recall if it was, but let me double check. Uh, because I seem to remember thinking that as well at some point. Let's see. Because if I don't know. Oh wait, you're right. It is A24, but it also says it's Apple. Because when the movie
Also, it
started,
was
it said,
acquired. It was so Apple acquired it. Maybe.
okay, yeah, they must have acquired it. So I don't know if that means. Well, I guess that means it's because most A24 films they have an exclusive contract with HBO Max, but uh, this one said Apple Original Films at the beginning. So
Okay.
I don't know that's kind of confusing. So I'm not sure what that
Maybe it's
means.
one of those things where they have a first look deal.
Mm,
Probably.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a good
Or
one.
maybe it was something that they jumped into it. Maybe
Yeah. Next one is Sisu Road to Revenge. Now the first
we
one,
both watched that one.
yeah, the first one was kind of a fun. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. The Nazis are in full retreat and they figure they're gonna steal this guy's bag of gold from fleeing Finland and it goes awry. There was some janky CGI, but it was forgivable because it was a low budget movie. It was really fun. The sequel, unfortunately, constantly breaks the laws of physics, constantly leans into the idea that this guy's practically supernatural. And given the ending, as you have said and as others have said, it's like a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And this time, instead of going after Nazis, so this guy killed 300 Soviets in the war because they killed his family. And so the the Soviet guy who killed his family was put in a gulag because they're like, oh, this is all your fault. But they decided who's better motivated to go after him than this guy, because for those who don't know, at the end of the war, Finland had to cede some of its territory to the Soviet Union, which displaced 420,000 Finns. And so our protagonist decides to take apart his house log by log and drive it back over the border. And they're like, "You're not gonna." And the Soviets are like, "Don't let this guy get across the border, whatever you do." And so it has some neat stunts. A couple times I was like, "Whoa!" because it was kind of crazy, but it just broke my immersion so much, and just wasn't as engaging. So I gave it 3 out of 5. I really wanted to like it more.
Yeah, I think with the momentum of the first one and how much of a dark horse surprise it was, I think it's one of those sequels that kind of learns the wrong lessons of the first one and doubles down on what people liked, but not in a good way. Because, yeah, like I said, and most people say, it really does turn into a Roadrunner cartoon because, like you said, it does ignore physics, which I am okay with certain action sequences ignoring the basic fundamentals. If you're trying to make it like a cool shot or a cool kill, I am okay with that, but not to the extent of like the tank scene, which made no sense to me whatsoever. And
Yeah,
the last scene with Stephen Lang and the freaking the
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 rocket.
way I'm like, oh my god, that is the most wily coyote thing I've ever seen in live action. It was like it's like they lifted it off a cartoon episode with Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, and then the one thing that really also jumped with me is when he uses the logs in front of the car to bounce the airplane over the truck. And it's like I was like, "Whoa, I can't believe I just saw that." But it was still ridiculous. Let's see. Ballerina says, "I was bored through most of Sisu 1 and Sisu 2. The fact that he never talks except for the very end of the first one makes it boring as hell to me, and on top of that it just looks cheap and crappy." Well, agree to disagree about the look. I kind of like the look. I didn't think it was boring. At least not the first one. I liked that one. This one, yeah, it could have been better. So yeah, a 3 out of 5. It should have been better. It wasn't.
Yeah, that would be my same rating.
Next one, Predator Badlands. Uh,
We
by
also saw
Dan
that. Yep.
Trachtenberg, who also did Prey and Predator: Killer of Killers. Uh, this is live action movie. I really didn't like that they used CGI for the Yautjas like faces and everything because nothing's gonna compare to that like physical prosthetic mask with the animatronic mandibles in the first two movies. It looked so photoreal because it is. You could reach out and touch it. When you see him like fixing his injuries with his medicine, it was like a real actor using real costumes. Whereas in Prey and this movie, it's like CG, and it just takes me out of it because it's not. You don't need to. You do CG for this. You've already done this photoreal. Like, why are you making it look more cartoonish than it needs to be? So I really didn't like that. Elle Fanning's character as the android from Weyland-Yutani is really annoying, and it's kind of off and on in terms of being able to put up with her. However, the action's really good. I thought it was clever how they got around the R rating by just having all this gore with aliens and robots, so that way it doesn't have red blood because the MPAA is ridiculous. It's like, oh, if the blood's colored red, then we have to give it an R rating. And jeers to fans who are like trying to boycott the movie because it wasn't rated R. It's like, dude, don't do that. If you do that, we're not going to get any more of these movies. And this one was actually pretty fun. Scott said it was a throwback to the old Dark Horse comics in the '90s, and he didn't like that because he said he didn't really need to see that. For me, I was fine with it. It kind of played like an adventure of the week. I liked the way the character arc goes, and I would say it's a worthy entry to the canon. Fun movie. I gave it 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I liked it fine. The things I didn't like, it's like, I know it's very easy to say that it's Disneyfied, but only because things and plot points and character moments kind of feel very reminiscent to very recent Disney property, especially The Mandalorian. When you compare the lead Yautja with, Din Djarin as the
Mm-hmm.
loner type, but the whole moral of this story is get over yourself and don't be so rigid and learning new ways to get stronger. I think that's the whole conceit of the movie. Um, I wasn't as annoyed with Elle Fanning. I liked her fine. I just think that I'm like, okay, I get what you guys are going for the comedy, but can you like tone it down just a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
And the sidekick character, because we need to sell toys. I don't know if they are going to sell toys or not. The sidekick was the ugliest design that I've seen in a bit. I I I understand that they want to make something that people can look at and it can be relatable by way of, oh, it doesn't look that bad, but I'm like, you're on an alien planet. Give me an alien looking creature.
Yeah, and then I liked how they, no spoilers, but how they brought that around, like that character's purpose, because he's trying to kill this unkillable monster that can just regenerate nonstop. So I like how that factored in. So that was fun. Uh, I liked it. I mean, because again, I think I would have rated Prey higher if it wasn't for the fact that they would keep trying to quote the original movie, which felt out of place, and the fact that they were using CGI for the Predator the whole way through. And then this one, it's like, okay, it's kind of action. So I kind of put them on somewhat on equal footing, kind of close. Ballerina says Prey
Okay,
is my
can
number
I
one
bring that
predator.
up? Because we talked about this.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can finish.
Oh, Ballerina just says, Prey's my number one Predator film ever made for me. Predator 1 is interchangeable. Love the build and flow of that film, too. Predator Badlands was a good watch for me. Elle Fanning worked because one is a happy-go-lucky synth and the other is dead serious. It worked. Okay, that's good that that worked for you. It was fun. But, so yeah, what were we going to say?
The thing that I wanted to bring up is that I think it's kind of one of those things that any filmmaker that comes into a franchise like Predator that kind of has that classic franchise feel to it, it's almost automatic, even though they're not um, obligated to do so, but it's automatic for them to make references that really you don't need to make these callbacks. You can just be your own thing.
Yeah, like Fede
And
Alvarez did
every
with
new
Alien
person that
Romulus.
comes into any franchise is obligated. Look at every single Terminator sequel since Judgment Day. They do the same callbacks.
Well, yeah, and also the same plot. uh, but yeah, I
That's
was going to
true.
say that the Fede Alvarez just nonstop of the callbacks to the first Alien movie in Romulus, and that just drove me crazy because most of them didn't work or it was just too much, and just kept breaking my immersion and taking me out of it. It's like, guys, just let this be its own movie. Um, but yeah, I still thought it was a decent movie. I wouldn't mind adding it to my collection if it gets a proper home media release. Uh, let's see.
Same, and I
What are we?
hope Predator. I think Predator Killer of Killers is gonna get a home media release.
Oh, really? Okay, so next one, Wicked for Good. I didn't want to see the first one. I got dragged to that last year, and I thought it bored me to tears because they spent the bulk of the runtime on the whole, the queen bee bullying the kid at school and getting everybody to bullying her, but then they become friends. It's like this is the same cheesy plot that a bunch of sitcoms have used since the '70s and that Disney Channel movies have done. Like this is so bad. Most of the songs weren't any good except for Unlimited and Defying Gravity, but it just was too damn long. I just didn't like it at all. This one is better because it's shorter, it's paced better, and it's more focused on the story. So it doesn't feel like there's any fluff. But the songs were still bad for the most part, except for the ones they recycle, the Unlimited from the first movie. I did not need or want to see bloodthirsty Tin Man in full Gaston mode in this movie. It was very bizarre and off-putting, and something that'll haunt my dreams. Because it's like, what the hell is this? Jeff Goldblum steals the movie again as expected, but I didn't. I mean, I wasn't familiar with the novel or the musical. I mean, I was aware of it, but I didn't know how the story played out, and I wasn't really crazy for this. I didn't really care for it. I get how a musical would be more entertaining because it's like a live musical right there in front of you on Broadway or whatever. But this was just kind of like, eh. I mean, I give it like maybe a 3 out of 5 compared to the first one, which I gave 2 out of 5.
I only saw a half hour of the first movie. I plan on getting back to it, but other than the original, I we keep going back to this movie, this series, this world that I'm like, why do we keep going back here? What is it like? With the exception of the uh, Broadway phenomenon that Wicked is, I'm like, what is it about Oz that people keep on coming back to? Because they tried it with Great and Powerful, and that fell on its head.
Yeah, then they did Return to Oz in the '80s, and that didn't do well because that was like nightmare fuel for some kids. And then and then they had The Wiz, which was really popular. But I mean, the opening sequence of Wicked 2 is this machine being dragged by these poor animals that's laying tar to lay the bricks for the Yellow Brick Road with all the wizards people whipping the animals to drag that. Like, why are you ruining the magical allure of the Yellow Brick Road by turning it into some psycho Nazi work project? I'm like, what the hell is this? You know? I mean, I get that that it's the original novel by Frank Baum was an allegory, and it's still essentially the same allegory that they're doing here. But what works about the original Wizard of Oz is that they don't beat you over the head with it. You could follow it, and yes, you see that the
Yeah.
wizard's a fraud and that he's misleading, but you don't, but you can extrapolate from that if you want to. It's not so blatant, and this just feels like it's ruining the magic, and so I just didn't really, I wasn't in for it. Ballerina says, however, that loved Wicked 1 and 2. Well, glad you liked it. Also says, Kat, remember the 2 films are reimaginings. That's why the Tin Man was going nuts. These are not how the characters are. It's a reimagining. Right. Is that reimagining Ballerina? But is that the same way the Tin Man is portrayed in the musical Wicked in the novel? Because again, I haven't read or seen either, so I don't know. But and I get that this is a reimagining and not the same thing, especially given the ending with the way part 2 ends. Uh, so yeah. She also follows up, says, "What if Elphaba wasn't evil? What if the Scarecrow was previously a prince named Fear?" Yeah, well, yeah, I get it. So what if they're changing things around? But I guess that's what the Wicked story is from the musical and the book. It's just something that it's just like I can't. But then it's Ernesto's point. It's like, why are we revisiting this and why are we turning iconic characters into this? Like, there's a trend that's been going around in Hollywood for the last decade or so where let's take iconic villains and turn them into misunderstood good people. It's like, no. It's like Cruella DeVille is a
Yeah. I
anorexic,
think, yeah,
chain-smoking has-been.
Maleficent did.
It's like Cruella is a anorexic, chain-smoking has-been who sadistically delights at the idea of killing puppies. Why are we trying to reimagine her as a woman who was beat up by the men in the fashion business? Like, what the hell is this? You know? And same with Maleficent. In the original, she was just a fairy who was so petty about the fact that she wasn't invited to the christening that she decides I'm going to murder her on her 20th on her 16th birthday. Where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so dark. But no, we have to reimagine her as a misunderstood person. It's like, I'm done with these types of reimaginings. And I get the Wicked novel goes back to 1995, but it's like, do we need to reimagine the Wicked Witches? It's like, and yeah, I get it because the wizard was a fraud even in the original, but still, I mean, it's just not for me. That whole type of premise. Uh,
I think
any
I
thoughts?
lost you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Uh, yeah, I
Okay,
can hear you.
good. Sorry. I just went through a bridge. I
No,
apologize. I,
that's all
I
right.
went through a bridge. I'm sorry.
Uh,
All
yeah.
right.
So I was
So
just,
I agree that I'm sorry.
oh yeah, I was just saying while you were out that I'm just not in for all these let's reimagine iconic villains as misunderstood heroes. I'm not really a fan of that. It's like if you want to tell that type of story, then just create a new character and a new story to tell that story rather than doing that. I've never been a fan of that really. You there?
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned something about reimagining. I'm okay with reimagining, but not to the point where it just completely just, you know what? At this point, you're just remaking it from the ground up, and it is not exactly has anything to do with what came before. Especially the best example you mentioned was Emma Stone as Cruella, because there's a moment in the Cruella movie where you know when they're doing the back and forth where she's basically challenging uh, Watson's character with where she's like,
You're going out again. We can't hear
dogs,
you.
which
Right, we didn't hear any of that. You went out for a while. What
can
did
you
you
hear me
say?
now?
Okay, now I do. So what was that?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What was that?
Yeah, I'll put it in a nutshell because the signal here is getting a little. Yeah, I didn't like the fact that they're basically making Cruella to be an anti-hero and not the murderous dog napping person that we all know she is. Because the end of Cruella was her gifting the Dalmatians, and it's just like, but wait, that kind of defeats the purpose. They even give her a pet, her own personal
Mm,
dog. I'm like, but that's not who she is. You would rather wear the dog than be its owner.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. Next is The Running Man. This is much more faithful to the book than the Schwarzenegger version. It's got that Edgar Wright flair, so it's really fun. I think Glenn Powell is really charismatic and fun in the lead role. I thought it dragged a little bit in the middle, kind of slowed down a bit, maybe a little long. But I disagree with critics who were saying that it goes off the rails in the third act. It becomes convoluted. I didn't think so at all. It sticks straight with what the book does. They admittedly added a one character twist that wasn't in the book, which I actually think was pretty good. And I like the ending and the way it sums it up. I didn't think it was convoluted or confusing or off the rails at all. It was right on point. I thought it was a really good movie and it was really fun. And I've already pre-ordered the 4K Steelbook. and uh, and Coleman Domingo is the host of the show. Bobby T, he's fantastic. And having Josh Brolin wear like the fake teeth to accentuate how much of a douchebag he is as Stan Killian is really great. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I don't understand why it flopped as hard as it did. Uh, I mean, really, it's like, why didn't more people go to see this movie? I have no idea. Maybe it's because it has a similar premise to The Long Walk, and people thought that one was too intense, and maybe thought this one would be too, and maybe that's why they didn't go. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but I really like The Running Man. I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 because yeah, it was a fun ride, but admittedly the characterizations were a bit thin, and it did feel a tad long, but I still had a lot of fun with it.
I liked half of it.
Mm.
I would give it a 3 out of 5 because the half that I liked shine, especially with Coleman Domingo, because I like that line in the trailer. This is America, goddammit, and we're gonna put up with any of that bullshit. It's just the delivery of that line is like, mwah, put on a freaking t-shirt, why don't you?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I liked half of it. The other parts that I didn't like about the movie is just like the supporting cast when he meets up with the family and the sick kid. I think it just drags down a bit with that underground railroad approach to, hey, we're gonna help smuggle you out and stuff like that, and the little people, the poor people. I'm like, okay, all right. Maybe it's because we've seen so many variations of it, it didn't feel that fresh, and the
Yeah.
pacing of it just went downhill. And then the third act character, the woman that was pretty much the hostage. I'm like, where the fuck did this character come from? Why are we focused on this now? This feels a little too late to the game, my man.
Well, she's in the
Um,
book. She's that's
I
straight
know
from the
she's in
book.
the.
I can
I know.
attest.
I know if that's the case, that's fine. But I feel like she came a little bit too late in the pacing of the movie. That's why it kind of dragged it
Mm.
down a bit. I don't think it went off the rails. I just think the pacing was a little all all over the place when we get to the third act. And that Hollywood ending, it was like, please get me out of here.
Well, spoiler alert. I'm just gonna for those who've already seen the movie or not seen it, but the book for the book anyway. The book has the airplane. You know, he puts it on autopilot to head toward the skyscraper, like in the movie. But unlike in the movie, the plane actually does hit the skyscraper, and he gets killed, and the network people all get killed, and that's like the end of the story. But and yeah, they didn't do that in this movie, but they still, in a sense, kind of take down the network. So it's kind of it kind of does that, even though you know you get what I mean. Uh, So yeah, it's kind of trying to feel like a more Hollywood ending instead of being as bleak, but the same goal is still achieved, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But let's see. Ballerina says, I really enjoyed The Running Man, such as the immersive world with a ridiculous tone and Glenn Powell playing it mostly seriously. Coleman Domingo was absolutely firing, absolutely was. And, well, they could never have done that ending. Yeah, because it's like, in the book, it's kind of abrupt because you're rooting for Ben Richards the whole time and you think he's going to make it. And then he just programs the plane for autopilot to hit the network building like in the movie. And you think that, oh, well, he must have an escape plan or something. And then, no, he just does full suicide and takes out the network and kills all the people running the network immediately with it. And it's like, holy shit, you know? And it's like, uh, yeah, it would have probably devastated a lot of people unless you did some wacky Edgar Wright thing, like the plane right about as it hits, it cuts to credits or something. But yeah, it would have been a more wild ending. But I get why the studio probably wouldn't have wanted him to do that.
Or instead of cutting to credits, it cuts to one of those RoboCop commercials that we see kind of peppered across the movie. And because for a moment in the movie, when the wife is grocery shopping, and it kind of shows a callback to an earlier scene in the movie with the sock, and you see him kind of like shadowy in the background, and then she sees him outside. I thought the movie was going to end right there
Hmm.
with the sign in the back saying Richard lives, but I thought it was going to be set up for a sequel. But then the movie kept going. I'm like, oh well, to hell with that. You're just going to end it right. You're just going to keep going and then end it another way.
Yeah. Uh, and then the character twist with Evan McComb, the chief hunter, was not in the book. That's something that they improvised for this movie. With him, with the reveal of who he is and how he's actually got that job. I'm like, oh, that's actually really clever and a nice addition. So that was fun. But yeah, it drags in the middle a bit. It's a tad bit long, but so I gave it 3. But it's a fun ride. Thin characters, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5. Bit of fun. But
My
that's still a good rating for me. Fun ride, good movie.
Yeah, my favorite part was the Schwarzenegger cameo. That was my
Oh yeah, the
favorite part of the
Schwarzenegger
movie.
dollars.
I'm like, of all the callbacks to the original movie, I'm like, that is like that was pitch perfect. That's an Edgar Wright joke if ever there was one.
Yes. And of course, it was a Skydance Paramount movie, and the failure was attributed to the fact that the merger happened like the month before, and that they just kind of had their marketing lost in the shuffle. But it's not going to hurt Skydance or Paramount, so that's fine, and it's not going to hurt Edgar Wright's career either that it
It
flops.
won't.
So
It's just not his strongest movie, in my opinion.
yeah, so he'll be fine, and we'll bounce back with another movie. And the one I saved for last is the one that Ernesto and I actually talked about a lot, and that's Rental Family with Brendan Fraser. And the plot is that the premise is that he's been an actor living in Tokyo for 7 years, mostly doing commercials. And he stumbles into this company, which is like called a rental family, or a rental agency, where you can rent people for something as innocuous as I want a friend to play video games with, to, hey, can you pretend to be my husband so I can put on this wedding for my conservative parents because I'm secretly a lesbian and I want him to think I'm moving to and I am moving to another country, but I want him to think I'm moving there with you, and never mind the logistics of like, well, what happens when they want to see their son-in-law again, you know? And it's like it's really iffy because the two main uh, contracts that he's working in this movie is one is a single mother who wants to get her daughter into this prestigious school, which will take you from like cradle from a kindergarten all the way to university, but they're really stingy and won't allow single parents to submit their kids there because they have these you know, ridiculous preconceived notions about what single parents are like. And so she's like, I need you to pretend to be the dad for the interview. And he's like, oh, that's okay. But she's like, I'm worried that because my daughter's so young, she'll screw up if she doesn't think you're her real father. So can you pretend to be that? And to his credit, he's concerned morally about everything wrong with this and that could hurt the child because, well, what if she does believe it? And then after 3 weeks when the contract's over, I just leave again. So there's that storyline. And then the other story is that this retired Japanese actor with dementia is fearful that people are going to forget him, and he's really depressed. And so his daughter, who's his caregiver, asks Brendan Fraser's character to pretend to be a journalist doing an article about him. Which, given the guy's got dementia, it seems kind of harmless in that regard. Like, you know, cheer him up or something. But you see, as these contracts go on, that the morality of it gets really murky, and there's a lot of problems with that. It did have a couple scenes where I kind of broke down and was really sad by it, but in a good way. It had one of the most emotionally devastating scenes I've seen in a movie throughout all year long. I actually think Brendan Fraser's performance was better here than in The Whale. Like, yeah, he's not doing any of the over the top melodramatic stuff, but that's kind of, the art of acting. A lot of it is doing these really subtle things, and I thought he did a really great job in the film. And I really liked it. I mean, it was very different. It was a window into a completely different cultural practice that I'd never heard of before. Apparently, Werner Herzog made a docudrama about this 6 years ago that I hadn't heard of before now. But I really liked it. It's one of my favorite of the year. I give it 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, and this is where I can't give it that high of a rating, even though there are things about the movie that I appreciate. Mainly, and I mentioned this earlier when we were discussing our physical media acquisitions. It is the same issue that I have with The Farewell. The cultural practice that we're diving into morally is affecting my enjoyment of the movie because I already have an issue with what we're diving into. Like, if you were to drop me into the middle of whatever's happening, you're going to see me being very loud and obnoxious about, I don't care what you're doing. It's bad. It's going to bite you in the ass. Because you
Yeah.
have in The Farewell where they're keeping the cancer diagnosis from the grandmother because, okay, she's got cancer and we want her to live her life without having to worry about the fact that they're sick. And I'm like, the fuck you are, because if I were to find out that you kept that from me, I'm going to be really pissed off. Because you don't know if I could turn this around. I could go see other doctors and see, hey, what are my options? What can we do? You don't know. You can't just make that decision for me. And here in Rental Family, I'm like, I can kind of see the concept of it. But the thing is that because it's so centralized to where they are in Japan, I'm like, you're telling me that all of these, because in the movie, and sorry, a minor spoiler, in the movie, the company that he's working for has serviced 800 clients. You're telling me that you service all those people, and at no point there's going to be a crossover. There's not going to be a Venn diagram where these are going to, you know, come to a head. It made no sense to me, the long
Well,
term ramifications.
well, that does come up in the movie, the Venn diagram
It
aspect that
does.
you
It
mentioned.
does. But because it's a practice that it does exist, I'm like, I have so many issues with this that I can't enjoy it because of it.
Well, that's the thing though, because that's the thing that they never really address. Because to your point, the fact that this is a real practice makes you wonder, what are the odds that nobody from this has ever crossed over? They must have. It's like a risk. It's like a real risk is what you're doing when you're doing this. Unless you're just the guy who wants a friend to play video games with, and like, okay, that's fine. But you're right. It's like, especially since Brendan Fraser's character has been in Japanese commercials consistently for 7 years. It's like, well, what happens when they see him on TV in a commercial? But foreshadowing, for what's going to happen. But it is but it was still such a fascinating thing that I was like, wow, this is really interesting, uh,
Yeah.
to fill that
And I
emotional
guess,
void.
and it's funny because in the movie they call him a gaijin because he's basically bringing his, like me, the irony here. He's in the character. He's bringing his Western sensitivities to their culture. Me, I'm bringing my sensitivity to, yeah, stop doing this. It's gonna backfire because they call him a gaijin, and I'm like, well, guys, I'm gonna be a gaijin too because I'm like, I don't think what you're doing is right. But
Well,
then
he didn't. Well,
I'm surprised.
he didn't think what they were doing was right either, because he's like, I can't pretend to be this little girl's father. What happens if she genuinely believes it and bonds with me, and then I have to leave? It's like, and that's like a legit dilemma that he finds himself in. But then the mother schools him, and she's like, "Don't you lecture me about what's right for my daughter." And she kind of plays, the homegrown card where, hey, this is my country, this is my culture, I understand this, and you just have to accept the fact that you don't get it. And he just kind of backs off and is like, okay, okay, and then he goes along with it anyway, but he still feels
Yeah,
bad
and I would
about
have
it.
been like, okay, you think you're so much better than me? Where's the father? Huh? Huh? Why didn't you wrap it up? Huh? Huh? I would have been so petty at that point.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that she means that, look, for the culture, it's like, yes, we need to get her into this school. And she did, in her mind, she must be thinking, okay, she'll bond with this guy for a few weeks. She'll find out eventually either that she'll either find out that he's not a real dad, or she'll just accept that he leaves, And yeah, she probably knows her daughter's going to be upset either way, but she figures, she's like 5 or 6 or whatever. It won't matter. She'll get over it. That's probably what the mom's thinking is, because she's thinking long term that getting her into this school is all the more important than her daughter being a bit upset. Whereas Philip is, of course, more concerned about the daughter's well being, playing this whole ruse.
Yeah, because long term, at no point they're gonna be like, "Hey, mom, remember that time where you tricked me into thinking my father came back? Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?"
that's gonna. Yeah, well, yeah, she didn't think that through either. But it's like, but that also comes down to the personality of the people involved.
Yeah,
But
apparently culture doesn't give you common sense either.
yeah, but it was an excellent movie. It was a lot of heartfelt moments and a lot of good sentimental stuff. I think it was really great, and I hope Brendan Fraser gets nominated for it. And unfortunately, not many people are going to see it. It's combination English Japanese language, so there are subtitles, whatever. But I think you should check it out if you guys have a chance to see it. If you haven't already. Uh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
can't rate it as high as you, but I think the saving grace is the story with the little girl, and I
Mhm.
think the best storyline was with the uh, actor with dementia. I think that could have been a whole
Yeah.
movie in itself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Um, Especially their whole journey that they go on across Japan to the guy's hometown. That could be an entire, but doing it as a drama. Well, then again, there've been plenty of movies done stuff like that already. But yeah, you're right. It could be its own thing. Um, I was also supposed to see the third Now You See Me film, but they changed showtimes on me, so I didn't see that one. But that's it. Those are the 11 movies that we've covered. Oh, and Ballerina has something else to say about Running Man, saying that the first dream sequence was so good to experience with that score. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so wow, I didn't think we'd get through all 11 movies, and we did in 61 minutes. That's pretty record time. Uh, you said you're
That
off
I
to see
saw
it.
that you haven't.
Hmm?
Well, no, I haven't arrived to my movie theater yet. I still got about a
Oh,
good 25 minutes to go, so
okay.
I can talk about a few others if you want.
Sure, go for it.
Um, the category is Spielberg. And the
Hmm.
reason why I set up that way is because I watched two movies back to back. That one is a dinosaur movie and one is a shark attack movie, and that's why I say the category is Spielberg, because one is trying to be Jurassic Park, and the other one is basically, what if we made a movie of Quinn's story about the Annapolis sinking and the sharks were coming in, basically.
Yeah.
And the dinosaur movie I saw was one that I brought up to you before, but we never got to see because it was a Fathom event. It was Primitive War,
Right.
which is basically dinosaurs in Vietnam. It is very, very, very towing the line of being a Roger Corman movie and an
Hmm.
independent, give me $5 million to make a dinosaur movie set in Vietnam. Because it reminds me of the Carnosaur series, except instead of using puppetry, it's all very rushed CGI.
Uh-huh.
And it would have been, I think if they would have given it a little bit more money and maybe hired two more recognizable actors, with the exception of Trisha Helfer, this movie would have been a bit better and a higher elevated B monster movie than what we got. Because I'm like, I'm entertained, but you could have been so much better. You could have been so much. There is a scene where they have a standoff where they're basically mowing down a lot of raptors,
Hmm.
but it's so cartoonish because I'm like, what is it about these B-level dinosaur movies that when you have people with machine guns, apparently no matter how many times you shoot these things, they still keep coming? That no, those things would be dying left and right because of how many times you're shooting it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? If you got $5 to kill and rent it on Amazon Prime, you'll have a little bit of enjoyment. Um, it's like dinosaurs in Vietnam. Just take it and run with it and see if you like it or don't. It is what it is. The second one I saw, which was much better given the premise, is, did you ever see The Gray with Liam Neeson?
I saw the first half. Yeah.
So it's basically that, but with a shark. You have it's an Australian movie. They're getting ready to get into World War II, but as their ship is on its way, they get gunned down and their ship blows up, and most of the crew gets sunk, and the survivors are basically now at the mercy of this shark that is basically picking them up one after the other, and they all are basically trying to survive, but each one is getting killed off, and it has that premise of wait, the way it's shot, the way they're basically in the middle of the ocean and it's very foggy and it's at nighttime, it kind of has that premise that they're all dead, but they're basically in purgatory, and the shark is basically the Grim Reaper and is trying to take them one after the other. At least that's my interpretation of the movie, and it's basically okay. Well, the only way you're going to get out of this is if we collect the certain souls that are supposed to be desperate enough to either die or die trying.
Mm. What
And
was
you
this?
can kind of tell,
What was the
yep,
movie called? What was the title?
uh, the Beast of War.
Beast of War. Okay.
Yeah. So the way they design the shark and the way they use sound effects and the way they kind of like jump cut with the edits, kind of like with the original Jaws movie where you bear the shark, the design of the shark makes it look very demonic, which kind of supports my theory that everybody's in purgatory and it's just basically inevitable that you're all going to die.
Hmm.
But yeah, I recommend that a little bit more because it's at least more unique in its presence. But they're both good as far as B movies.
Yeah.
And then I saw this two comedies that one is, I agree, is one of the worst movies of the year, and it's Playdate with Alan Ritson. And I'm like, oh my god, it's an Amazon original. It's MGM produced. It is so bad. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just bad.
Mm.
Like, don't even bother. And then I saw this Will Ferrell comedy, You Are Cordially Invited, which is a bit better, but it's not that funny. It is trying way too hard at comedy. I'm like, will the real comedies come back, please? Thank you.
Hmm.
And that's all I've got. And now I really need to leave because I'm about to hit my exit.
What movie are you seeing?
I am watching an anime called Jujutsu Kaisen, which is
Uh,
basically a re-edited of the last two episodes of the first season, crossed with the first three episodes of the new season.
all right. Have fun with that.
And you all have a good night. Thank you for having me over, and I'll go with I'll I'll join the next Cat's Corner next time.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. We have thank you for everybody who showed up. Phantom Organist, Turk 130, Ballerina is the greatest, Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift, Lemon Pie, Canadian Spider-Man, Herc 130, fantastic. I love everybody showing up. This is great. Hope you all had a good time. Covered 11 movies. I thought it was only going to be 10, but I forgot about the Toxic Avenger. So, yeah, maybe I'll show off physical media next time. Not sure what the next video is. I know I owe you all the F1 review. If I had not broken my leg and been at the rehab clinic, I would have done it on November 6th when I said I was going to do it. Now we're way, way behind. So I will hopefully get to that next week. But I at least can attest that I do have it here. So we can get to that. I promise I will get to that movie for a proper review. Yes, take care, and all right, everybody. See you next time.